see the value?
Yeah, so there's a few different things we're doing. This has become really popular with skills, this concept of scripts. And generally, if you're using a top frontier model like Opus, the idea that if it does something really well one time, that can get turned into a programmatic script that can be run by a, less expensive model, whether it's
Yeah.
like a lower tier frontier model or something that is like an open source or local model. So that's something that we're we're shipping a lot on and working with our customers to build, and it's working really well. The problem is that when you want to use a frontier model like Opus to do that, it costs like it's very expensive in credits. So you want to get it right the first time.
Yep.
So we're pretty much taking that and turning it into, um, yeah, like frameworks that our users can, you know, basically work with right off the bat.
Do you have so you have the internal infrastructure to turn like an Opus, I guess, flow into like a Sonnet flow?
Yeah. Like, and we're looking at it as like turning an Opus flow into something on Haiku or like GLM,
Yeah.
and that's the play. Um,
But
I
is it
think
like
it,
set
it
up automatically? Because like I stumbled upon this myself, just like tinkering. I'm like, why am I spending all of these credits trying to like, it's like 50 cents per generation and I need 1,000 of them. And so like I can just spin it up once and then tell Gemini Flash what to do.
100%, and like that's the absolute way to do it. Um, and we kind of see that coming through across the board. Like skills are meant to be iterated on and improved. Once you have the skill in like a model like Opus or Sonnet um, can reliably like do the work end to end for that workflow, um, then you're not very far away from Haiku or GLM being able to do it. It just comes down to like scripts, for example, and the concept of plugins, which is like the evolution of skills. Um, yeah, like what's your experience so far with it?
I mean, I literally just like, I feel like I discovered gold when I just like stumbled upon it myself because there's so many things that I want to do that take up more tokens than I'm willing to spend. For example,
Mhm.
I'm building an automatic carousel generator, and the only way to do it is really to have obviously like an image generating model do it for you. But each time it's difficult to get the exact replication if you want a consistent theme, yada yada. But like having Gemini do it, in one pass, it looks beautiful. But then it costs, I think it was like 50 cents, $1 per iteration. And I have like this full like analysis cycle where the analysis turns into a carousel and it like auto posts and stuff like that, which is cool. But if I want to do, 3 of these a day, it gets expensive. So now we're talking like $100 a month. And I can just like decrease that cost by 90% if I run the flow once and then I turn it into essentially what's like a just like a stock image, and then I have Claude populate the text. And
Mhm.
so I create a template of an image that I can input variably with
Mhm.
like just like a standard text response. And so, I mean, that's pretty easy to do. But and then I was like, oh, I can just do this for a lot of different things. I can just
Mhm.
have Opus tell Gemini what to do, and
Mhm.
then fucking rip a whole lot of more things. But um, I don't even have it being built like programmatically. I'm just like I run it once, or like I fine tune the one thing that I want to do,
Mhm.
and then I take that and then I like replicate it times 1,000. But like have
100%.
that
And
done programmatically
I'll
would be
preface this with we have the exact same thing that we're about to ship. So I'm saying that now so that you don't think that I took your decided to go build like an automated carousel setup after this call. Um,
well. You have every marketing thing that you can imagine. So like I feel like the only thing that you don't have is like my core product actually.
exactly. And I will do my best not to touch that.
Hey, go ahead, try it.
No. Like
Try to do it.
after this, we should share notes on that. I think you get a kick out of what we have. We're shipping it like you'll be able to build carousel like pretty much just generate viral carousels on demand on Hyper, but you can also do it via the MCP. So we're building tons of different templates. We support like GPT 2.0 image generation. And then all of these things sort of come together. So like image backgrounds, text, logos, and then using hyperframes and remotion, put it all together. And we have one of our developers on our team actually started 3 different TikTok accounts, or it's definitely one TikTok account and one Instagram account. Maybe he's still warming up the other TikTok and Instagram accounts. And he's starting to get like a little traction. He's really excited about it. He's a technical guy, and I think his new favorite thing is his automated social media posting.
Yeah. Carousel accounts are a good way to go, honestly.
Yeah, like on this point, and we'll go off topic for a second. One of my best friends, I was talking to him last night, and he's crushing it in his own world. He's not building, he's not vibe coding. He's too busy for that. But he was just talking about getting a Mac
Does he
Mini.
do vibe code? What the fuck?
Yeah, well, I guess apparently not, because he was like, okay, as soon as like the Mac Mini M5 comes out, I'm getting it.
Sure.
You know, I want everything on an isolated like VM, like in its own environment. And I was like, okay, cool. What are you going to build? And he was talking about effectively a news feed for like relevant information across the world that is like very curated and reliable. And the context being, he does a lot of this for his like role, where he's in supply chain logistics and is constantly filtering like news and what's happening across the world, and that becomes like a massive part of like the business's strategy. What we were talking about in his idea is this concept of like confidence as a service, like you're in the know constantly. And where we kind of had talked about this idea and went with it was, imagine a platform like TikTok or Instagram, like, you know, very much scroll brain rot, except it's all carousels that are like, it's amazing information, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, you can't go down you can't like have your algorithm turn into brain rot, or, you know, get super into like workout fitness videos or something, because it's just feeding you like valuable like world financial tech, you know, like tech information and what's happening.
So this is a completely different platform. It's not like, because you can just launch this as a channel on any platform, obviously.
Yeah, but like the concept is that, okay, like let's say that you've come across this on TikTok, you love it, so you follow it, but you can, it's still like TikTok as a whole lets you go down the rabbit hole, or Instagram Reels as a whole lets you go down the rabbit hole. The idea of a platform that does not let you go down the rabbit hole because it doesn't include that type of content. I think it's kind of genius.
But yeah, I mean, there's also like the STEM filter on TikTok where you can just like, if you just want to watch math videos all the time, like you can just watch math videos. There's a reason why people aren't just fucking consuming math videos.
Yeah, that's valid. I guess like if you take, let's think of it as, you know, some very curated like news outlet, like I guess like TBPN, like they cover very quality topics with the right people. They're talking about what's happening in the world constantly, and you know, you can rely on their take, basically, like, you know, pretty unbiased in a lot of coverage. The idea that that just gets turned into like, you know, whether it be on a specific whether it's multi-channel or you turn it into a platform. I think the big difference was that, like, is this verified information? Like, is it sort of in a way that I can feel like I know what's going on, you know, knowing what's going on in the world.
That's the hardest thing to do, though. And like, that's what everyone's trying to like do with like, honestly, like going live and like having a lot of content out there, is you develop trust with the person who's viewing you, and then they can see all the ways in which you think about things, and then like they know what your investments are. And so, and like when you're, for example, like Chamath Palihapitiya, and you're talking about like, I don't think nuclear reactors should be a thing, but like batteries are the way to go. It's like, well, you have a lot of investments in batteries, and like that's why you're poo-pooing nuclear reactors. So like you start to like pick away the natural biases of people, because everyone has these natural biases.
100%. So I'm not the person to start this company. I don't use social media much, so but it's
You don't.
interesting.
What up? This is my
What
buddy
up?
Brandon here.
Hey,
Hey, what's up,
Brandon.
guys? Hey,
How you
hey. I just got this message, so I'm not exactly sure where you guys are at in the conversation.
He was just pitching his friend has an idea for a new social media network that is all new. It's not news, but it's like all curated news, but trustworthy.
Well, no, I'll say that like
It's ground news.
This is a tool,
CNN.
like a web app for him. This is for him, like, you know, the idea of like vibe code your own solution. I kind of took it that step further, and I was like, wow, like I would love an app where I could just go, you know, learn about the things that I care about. But I guess that is your algorithm on TikTok and Instagram. It just comes down to like going on like information diet, right?
Yeah, do you care? Like I care about comedy, stand-up comedy,
Yeah.
New York Knicks basketball, and like Latinas once in a while. Like, that's my algorithm.
I thought your algorithm is just Claude at this point.
Yeah, and Claude
Claude
Hike-
and cortisol.
Claude Hike videos. Things
Do you
that
think
Claude
that?
Hike kills.
Do you think like these guys like Angus or Agentic James, and there's probably like 1,000 others. Do you think that they're getting paid by Claude, or do you think it's all just they're just stimulated organic influencer content without any payment?
Oh, it's
No, I
going
think-
to their school,
Yeah,
their school community. That's the way.
No, I know. I mean, I know that they're using school and they're making
Mhm.
money off of, you know, showcasing different skills or different apps that they use with Claude. But I don't know. I just find it interesting that there's just, and I see like a lot of creators now who are like, no, they're like these, you know, ChatGPT, OpenAI guys. And I wonder maybe if OpenAI is like, no, now we need to pay influencers too to constantly be coming out with ways that you can use OpenAI, even though maybe Claude, maybe Anthropic never really paid anybody, and they truly do just have like one growth marketing guy that somehow, which I don't even think that guy.
I don't
even
believe
think-
that, but I do think that like Agentic James is organic. I
You think
think the
Agentic
way that
James
we
is
know that like this starts to spill out is like if OpenAI, you start to see like a lot of like OpenAI stands being like OpenAI killed ChatGPT killed this.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
no,
what I'm
it's-
seeing now. That's what made me think about it. I was like, there's no way that like they're
Wait, you're
all
seeing
these, like-
OpenAI fanboy stuff?
Well, yeah, now that like you know, Codex seems to be this great tool, and like OpenAI's computer use stuff is getting more adoption. And I have somebody that was like, you know, RJ, who like, you know, all of a sudden now is like, no man, Codex is like is the shit, you know. Like I think they've really broken through. So I don't know. I just crossed my mind. I figured I'd ask you marketing guys what you think.
Yeah. I mean, I think it is just going to be a bumpy several months and years of just like tool hopping, right?
Between them, just those two?
Between Codex, and I'm sure that there's going to be new ones.
Do you think there's going to be like a new frontier model that somehow it's going to be like Kimi?
Well, I think the Grok with XAI and the Cursor acquisition, I bet that's going to be pretty sick for coding.
Yeah,
I can see there being
Cursors.
like a trio of
People
coding.
sleep on Cursor. I'm such a Cursor maxi.
I use Cursor in terminal only.
That's wild. I've never heard that. Is it because you like Composer too? Like because it's just like low, like you figure everyone subsidizes their own model because they want the data, they want the feedback.
There's periods when like Claude goes down and I want to like hop onto another model, but really the reason is like I just like to have 6 terminals open at the same time, and I like to like look at them like that.
Yeah,
That's
facts.
the only reason.
What is your app by the way? Hyper?
Oh, so it's an AI marketing platform. So you could think of it as agents who just autonomously run your marketing, paid ads, social media, really anything like organic posting on Reddit. And we built the foundation so agents can do anything. That was like a big part of our thesis, that like in order for agents to be experts at something, they first have to have the environment and harness that, you know, they could do anything. And from there, marketing is our background. So we decided to go fix it because it's incredibly broken.
Oh, what's your marketing background. What were you doing before you did this?
Yeah. So I was working like right out of school. I spent 6 years with a performance marketing group. I came in as an analyst, employee number 7, and by the time I left that company, there were 150 people. I was running operations in charge of a 50-person team, and we spanned every single channel. So media buying, we had a lot of owned and operated properties. SMS, our email program was like utterly massive. And yeah, just learned a lot. Also learned that it takes, 50 people to run marketing at scale, and it still breaks. And people don't notice for weeks at a time. And it becomes a context problem. And I think like that will continue to be one of the biggest problems that businesses and consumers face in AI, especially as they're like hopping from tool to tool. It's just like context, like your context is everywhere. And marketing is a great example of that. Data and context, like the data and execution lives across tons of ad platforms, different point solutions. And yeah, everyone needs something that sort of unifies that, but then is modular enough that it can come with you to whatever AI tool you're using. So like that's basically what Hyper is. We just launched our MCP and our CLI, and skills are coming out end of the week. And it's pretty much the idea that you have an entire like AI native marketing platform plugged into an MCP with about 1,000 tools. All of your data lives in, managed data warehouses, data pipelines. And yeah, wherever you go, that MCP comes with you. So
You can manage like all ad platforms through it.
Yeah. So right now we have about 7 ad platform integrations. So Meta, Google Ads, TikTok, LinkedIn, Pinterest, and we're working on DV360. And I don't know if I said Amazon.
Oh yeah, Amazon. Yeah, that's the one I was wondering about.
Yeah. So the way it works is when you make that connection between that integration and Hyper, we actually automatically spin up a managed table for that, ad platform integration. The same thing happens with Google Analytics, Search Console, pretty much anywhere marketing data lives. It's like predefined schema, everything's set up, it updates in real time. And the context there is just like, in order for agents to be able to have that 360-degree, like real time context and execution, like they can't go make 12 API calls to each ad platform to make a decision. They need to write SQL and be able to have that data like within, half of a second, so that they can make a decision. Yeah.
Something that never occurred to me before. Sorry, Brandon. I just want to ask a question. Like you have the ability to probably like create a proprietary mixed media marketing model and some like attribution model with all of these sources.
Yeah.
Do you have that? Because I feel like when you describe your product, you're like, it's 900,000 things. And I'm like, well, what can I do on it? You're like, everything. But like the one thing that you can do is like, well, actually you just like plug in everything that you have, and then you can spit out an output that just like literally tells me what to do next. Like, am I?
Oh yeah. We're working on it. Are you familiar with AppLovin? Yeah. So a product that we're working on is just very much the simplest version of Hyper. And it's you come in, you give your product URL and specify a budget. In the dream world, we can actually create the ad accounts for you because setting them up is such a pain. Realistically, that is something that users still have to do. But then it's basically like we create the ads, launch them, monitor, manage them, and just make sure that they are crushing it based on like all of the data that we have regarding like your vertical, product, budget, etc. Like you don't have to do anything. Like you just have to come in and, we help you get to profitable ads as fast as possible and not losing money.
Where does the creative come from though?
Have you checked out GPT 2.0 image for generating creatives?
No, I was gonna do that today.
We are so close to like it. People, it's being slept on right now, and the reason is because if you try to like over guide that model, the output is terrible. But if you actually like, go back to like, give it way less, the output is like unbelievable.
Yeah, that's like another one of the like, I was like, is this really that good, or am I just getting like inundated with a bunch of paid influencer stuff? And then I haven't used it. So yeah, no, I'll try that. I think that's legit. So wait, through Hyper, can you it'll manage all your bids for you? You guys haven't had any issues with people getting their accounts banned for
No, so there was a
what's
lot
this?
of drama.
Yeah,
There was a lot.
yeah, I'm interested to understand that, because honestly, I haven't used Manus, and I'm hesitant to have any agent manage actual money, and all I've done really is just like have automated reporting
Mhm.
for how media is performing across those channels, which has been good and like and
Mhm.
helpful. But yeah, I'm like that step of like, okay, cool, yeah, let me just have this manage the actual spend is
Mhm.
like an area that I'm nervous about, and like I know other media buyers are super hesitant to have
Mhm.
like a make good happen because of some agent mistake, and all of us are like used to seeing the agents hallucinate or give you the incorrect
Mhm.
incorrect data. And so yeah, I wonder how you guys sort of like overcome that.
Yeah. Yeah. So the first thing there is every integration on Hyper is fully approved by the corresponding platform. So we've
Oh, that's
gone through like the very, very painful, time-consuming, long like developer and app approval process.
mm,
This is the case with Meta, Amazon, LinkedIn, TikTok, Google, etc. So we
that's
are
great.
a verified way to connect, and you will not get banned by connecting your ad account to Hyper. Um, the other cool thing there, and I'll just kind of add on, is with the Hyper MCP. Once you connect your ad accounts to Hyper, you can just set up your Hyper MCP, which is basically a universal gateway with all of those integrations, and you can take
Mm,
it with you to Claude. So
okay,
it's
cool.
the safest way to connect your ad accounts to Claude, etc. And I would say like my favorite part is that I have about now I have like 54 integrations connected to my Hyper MCP.
Mm,
And rather than having to connect a billion different things to Claude, like do the same thing again, like connect everything, I just connect my Hyper MCP and everything's connected. So it's like, oh, if I want to go try out Codex and bring all of my integrations with me without actually giving OpenAI access to those
mhm.
integrations, I can just go turn on my Hyper MCP there and I'm good. But the second part there, as far as like giving agents the autonomy to manage budgets, it is something that we're working on. Have either of you guys ever been like big into trading? Like whether it be like,
Yeah.
yeah, okay. So the idea of
Forex,
like,
Forex, 20.
okay, great. So the
Big,
idea of like stop losses,
yeah.
Sure.
or market orders. So we actually have a few things coming out in the next few weeks. The concept of like real time polling ad performance without LLM in the loop, and basically guardrailing agents into shipping correct work when it comes to like adjusting budgets.
Mhm.
Um, we have a ton of different like special sauce when it comes to our integrations that like the big one is like we have human in the loop across every action with each integration. So like let's say that you want to have an agent manage your meta spend. You can just require the campaign update action to require your approval, and you'll get a notification if your agent
Mm.
wants to up the budget. So then
Where's
you can just
that? Where does that notification come in?
on your Hyper account.
Oh, okay, so you have to so
No,
that
no. Well, you can hook up Slack on Hyper or Telegram, and you'll just
okay.
get the notification like, "Hey, I'd like to increase the budget," and then you
And
can
you can
either.
improve it in Slack.
Oh yeah.
That's sick.
Yeah, and like the cool thing about Hyper is it's more similar to Hermes in many ways than OpenClaw, in the sense that um, each user has something called user shared memory that goes with you from agent to agent. So like anything you tell an agent on Hyper, every agent will like have that context if it's relevant. But each agent has its own memory. So like if you are trying to like teach it something in real time, it will, you don't have to repeat yourself.
You should just make it so that way anybody can activate their account through Slack.
Yeah. Like that's definitely the way to do it. We're working. What platforms allow you to do that? Like just like straight up apps, right?
I don't know. I feel like that's a big miss on so many different accounts of apps. I feel like just being like, I feel like people are so, they don't want to press get started. They don't want to like, they don't want to learn your UI on
Hmm.
your site. They don't want to learn where the button is. They don't want
Yeah.
to do any of that. And the
Hmm.
more that you can just meet people inside of like, so many media buyers are just like in Slack being
Hmm.
like, here's the report for the day. And if you could have it be where you can just like, click a button on the site and then add. I guess a lot of media buyers aren't necessarily admins within their Slack, so that's kind of annoying. But I
Hmm.
guess if they have Slack Connect, they'd probably have their own Slack workspace, and then they could just add it to their own Slack workspace, and it can just be through that approach. But yeah, the more that you can make it be within
Hmm.
Slack, I think the better, where they can just
100%.
like, yeah,
I love that idea because like we're shipping, like we have the MCP live now and we're shipping the CLI live later this week. So it's the idea that if you're in Claude Code and you're looking for the best way to connect your ad accounts so you can do stuff, um, and let's say Claude during a research phase like finds the hyper skills and MCP and CLI, it can just install the CLI right then and there. So then you as a vibe coder or developer can just connect your ad accounts, and you like up to a certain extent you don't ever have to come to the hyper platform. I think like agentic commerce and like stable coins will get really interesting there. Um,
why?
on just the idea that like exactly what you're saying, that I want access to whatever tools I need to like get X done, and I don't want to have to go sign up for another account. Like that's probably the biggest bottleneck with anything in life
Yeah,
in
one hundred
life these
percent.
days.
Yeah.
So it's the idea that like similar to like, I mean, rather than giving like your agent like a virtual credit card that has like budget rules in place, the idea that you can give it, a Web3 wallet address that
Oh,
has like
okay.
X amount of stable coins. Maybe it has an allowance, like you give
I
your
get it
agent
now.
a little allowance. Um, and it just like removes all the friction for you as the user. But like at that point, we head into like a really weird territory of like, I'll send you guys something later. It's called like this theory about agentic protocols. And it's just the idea that like, it's just, I mean, it is a zero sum game at the end of the day, but um, I won't get into it here.
Isn't this a good spot to get into it?
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah, I mean,
definitely
yeah,
let's
yeah.
go.
So like,
It's
there's
just
this idea of
us.
the agentic protocol, and it's basically that rather than let's say scores and scores of people who have agents and are like taking over the world, it's really just like a very few, like it's like picture like 3 individuals with like unlimited LLM budget who are just like taking over the world with like their own agent corporations, and effectively these
Yeah.
agent teams are corporations. And like you'd like to hope there's at least like one human like behind, like who can pull the plug or like is like benefiting or something from this. But it's just the idea that that's what it all comes down to.
You're saying like high frequency trading between agents basically leads to like zero sum economics where one agent just like accumulates all global wealth.
So like there's so many steps in between that, but I love to think of I
Okay,
love
and
to
then
think
where
of
do we
it.
make money in between?
Yeah, exactly. So like we're in between and like we all have to hurry up. But like in especially like early ETH days, there's something called a MEV in a sandwich attack. And the concept is that let's say that I'm gonna buy a coin and I like submit that transaction on the Ethereum network. The idea that someone else out there could have a MEV bot that says, "Oh, I see they just like sent this transaction. I can send a faster transaction,
Yeah, it's like what
buy
high
the
frequency
coin
traders
before
do right
them,
now. Yeah,
then as soon as their buy goes through, I sell
sell it
and
back.
I make
Yeah,
a profit."
yeah, yeah.
Um, and like originally mevbot like creators were printing, and it was
Yeah.
like a massive problem, like slippage, this whole thing. And it still is, like you still see people get so wrecked. Like not too long ago I saw someone who like tried to swap like tens of millions of dollars. Like I follow this channel that like sometimes will post this, and it's like this person tried to swap X million dollars for this, and like got sandwich attacked and got like $7. But where I'm going with it is now, if you want to try to go compete in like the sandwich attack mev bot space, like everyone's competing for like operating expenses plus like cents. And it's the same concept with like Bitcoin mining as well, as it continues on. And it's just the idea that like it becomes that zero sum game where like at the end of the day, the one person agentic protocol like is the, it's like the more mouths you have to feed. Like I don't know how to think about it in that context, but and I think I'm like drawing some broad strokes. Like you kind of have to connect the dots like on your own, but hopefully what I'm saying is hitting a bit.
Makes sense. Doomer, very doomer of you.
I also don't believe like we're heading there anytime soon. And like I really hope that we're not.
I hope we're not. Yeah. Well, that's cool. I think I'll give it a shot after this. Brian told me about your app a while ago, I think. Because you guys have known each other for like a few months, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. I've hesitated to really like dive in with handing over the controls like that, but I'll get on it.
Yeah,
there might be other weird things that you can do. Brandon's like a growth marketer, by the way, Elliot.
Okay, sick.
Keyword is like
world class growth marketer.
Nice. I mean, like for organic content, you can do a lot of fun things. There might be some.
Tell me about that. I want to know.
I mean, yeah, you can connect your Instagram account, TikTok account, LinkedIn account, and Pinterest account, as well as a few other platforms, and automate like social posting.
The posting.
Yeah. So
I get worried about the posting also. Like I wonder about the auto posting and like having the data come through that it's not coming from someone's actual phone. But the analysis I do find like really useful, like being able to get the visual analysis and the script analysis, and then having it pair that with the analytics and show you what strong hooks are without you having to do it yourself.
Yeah, like in that sense, I think you'd really love all of our built-in tools, and that's like a massive differentiator for Hyper compared to other platforms. So for like in the social media space, like if you come onto Hyper, whether you're using Hyper on Hyper or via our MCP, we have a Reddit scraper built in, Twitter scraper, Reddit scraper. You can connect your Pinterest account, and it can actually download images from your Pinterest mood board and use those as references when generating new creatives. We have a ton of different built-in tools that basically look to reduce all of the friction that we just talked about. It's like instead of making everyone go sign up for another account and reach for another API key, we have it all built in.
And so you can generate creative on Hyper too, and it's using like ChatGPT's 2.0 image gen?
Yeah.
Sick. Okay. Yeah. Dude, I'm like, what am I doing here? What are you doing here? I feel like, shouldn't you have like 1,000 customers right now, killing it?
We're growing really quickly. I mean, at the very beginning of the conversation, Brian and I were talking about sort of unit economics when it comes to AI platforms. And if you're Anthropic and OpenAI, you can afford to give everyone $5,000 of like usage on a $200 max plan. If you're not them, and even if you don't care about taking any margin and you just want to grow your business and get sticky,
you're still spending a shit ton of money because you just don't have that kind of scale.
Well, and it's more so that that users come in and they're like, like Claude is, like my Claude credits never run out.
So it gets expensive to use Hyper at the moment.
It can get expensive if you have like really long running tasks going on, or are using like top models, which is like why we shipped the MCP. It's the entire Hyper platform in an MCP. Like you can connect the Hyper MCP to Claude and use like all of our image and video generation with top models like GPT 2.0, Seed Dance, etc. In Claude, and you'll actually get the videos coming through into Claude via our MCP. And it's basically like, don't tell Claude, but it's the workaround where, they basically said, okay, we're disallowed, like, we we are not like, you can't use, you know, Claude Max plans within OpenClaw, for example.
Yeah.
You could kind of think of our MCP as if it's like OpenClaw, but so much more wrapped into an MCP that you can use with Claude Code. And like, that's the big,
like all MCPs kind of just like skirt that whole API token usage issue, which is super interesting. And so you get to utilize your subsidized Claude tokens on your Max plan. Yeah, that's the way.
Yeah, and like, you can, like, and I could talk about it for a long time. Like, in Hyper, we have a built-in file system. And like I was telling you guys about the database and manage tables, like that all exists in Hyper, and Claude can do anything on Hyper that you could as a user.
Yeah.
So that's definitely, and like I was just talking to someone about this, like the future is obviously agents can do everything, and the people who will win, or like the platforms that will win besides the frontier model providers, are the ones who can like finally bring all the context into like one backpack that, you know, goes with people, whether it's like Codex is what's hot this week, or Claude Code is what's hot this week.
Yeah, I agree with the vision. Definitely. I think like the thing I wanted to ask you, and like actually Brandon at the same time, would be interesting to hear your guys' thoughts, is like the tech versus marketing thing that's happening right now, where like, okay, you can automate everything and you can have AI generated content for everything. And then like tech is just taking over the full marketing stack. And then when you get to the end of it, now like the whole discourse is around like taste, and like, oh, tech is coming for like taste, or like taste is going to be like the last bastion for the marketers to have. You know,
yeah, I want to hear what you have to say. I'm gonna come right back because my phone's about to die.
But so Elliot, like obviously like you're going down like the AI path, and you're saying like, hey, let's just automate everything. And then I think like there's just like a bunch of people who are saying like, no, you accept this. And so like this is going to be like the leading edge of what sells shit. And so like,
yeah,
I wanted to get Brandon's thoughts, but like, what are your thoughts?
I mean, I think it's so valid. Like, I think I tweeted something along the lines of when GPT 2.0 dropped, I said, like, I think it has taste, because I was so impressed by the quality of creative it came back with. But like, maybe just the definition of taste will continue to evolve, like in the context that we say like taste is the most, or taste is the differentiator.
Like, by default, like because it was created with AI, it like doesn't have taste. Now I'm not necessarily of that belief. I don't know. I'm like, I still feel like I am sort of somewhat like against AI art in a way, even though it's beautiful, right? But when it comes back to like, why are certain things cool? It's like because it has like provenance, you know where it originated from. And it's like the backstory of the painter living in the woods, and he like painted this of his dead wife or something. It's like that's what gives it value. And so my point is that like all marketing is trying to sell products, and all like the margin that they make is made up of like some layer of like status, because otherwise everyone's just selling shit at cost. You can't sell shit at cost. You have to mark it up a little bit. And so your margin is like the story you tell to the customer to like why they're paying for this thing. And that story, it can't just be like we clicked a button and like AI generated a story. And that's because when everybody is doing that thin layer of margin, because we know every cost of everything is going to zero, that thin layer of margin just becomes, what can somebody do on top of it? And like you just keep moving the goalposts further and further of like what that thing is. Now, in the meantime, you'll be like hyper successful automating everything up into that point. But that's what like, I'm just thinking like, in your business model, do you care about that? Do you think about that? Do you worry about that? Because I worry about that myself. Like I'm sort of like helping people develop scripts and like have someone to talk to about how to create organic content as a human, but I don't want to ever jump over into the ledge into explicitly AI generated content, because I think right now that's in poor taste in the marketer content creation world. They're very much anti-AI, and they're going to, this is like the marketing versus tech thing. Marketing is going to push back against all tech stack. And you're like, you are the marketing tech stack. But it's just so hard to be like a marketing tech stack when marketing is against tech. You understand what I'm saying?
I completely understand. And I think there's actually like a beautiful like unity between the two, in the sense that like when you cut away all of the boring and hard parts about marketing, it leaves the room for the taste, right? So then
Yeah.
like the taste will continue to evolve. I think like a good example there, and like I'll kind of come back to it in a sec, but it's like, let's say that I have, you know, my version of taste when it comes to how I think like a website should look. Um, and I go to Pinterest, or let's go to like an ad creative. And like I actually love, you know, like let's say Spirited Away, like played out for the context of like Studio Ghibli, but let's just say that like before like that sort of like example of like taste getting like too distributed, like, which I think is like almost an interesting case study in this conversation. But the idea that like I have, let's say that there are like 3 artists I really like, and maybe like some random graphic designers I find on Pinterest. I take all of those images as reference images, and then I like, you know, I as the creator, like who has my own story, maybe it's not like one of you know, like sadness in the 1700s, or like something like really cool like in modern day, but like I have taste, and you know, get something back. um I don't know, like I think there's many ways to think about that part. I guess like taste also just will get so much more like as that margin goes away, and like or as that margin gets like thinner and thinner and thinner, people have to go like more and more specific. Like a friend and I were talking about this the other day with peptides. And the idea that like, you know, how many vitamin companies are there? There are a lot of vitamin companies, a lot of supplements out there. They all sort of appeal to maybe a different ICP. They all have different like stories, taste. And like, if you think about like peptides, it's like, okay, like a lot of people will be going after peptides, but if you came up with like the peptide that's branded for like like let's say ocular headaches, like some weird niche, like this peptide helps with like ocular headaches in like men ages like 52 to like 53 and a half, like, you know, like literally
So
that. Yeah, yeah. So I think it just becomes like it's the evolution of the world. Like, you know, it's like, how hard was it to get X product like 100 years ago versus 50 years ago? Like it gets easier. Like it always gets easier to get the product that you want, or that you need. Not to say that like the product is like the right product or it's gonna do anything, but it's like the idea of like you want a product, and like I think it will just become like the specific thing that you want is just gets closer and closer and closer to you. Yeah.
there's a scene in Mad Men where they have like the cigarette executives in, and they're all trying to figure out how they can differentiate because they're all
Mhm.
being labeled as cancerous products. And Don has he's like doesn't come to the meeting with a good idea. I don't know if you guys watched Mad Men before, but
Yeah.
it's like I think it's actually the first episode, and he has like a moment of genius where he asks they describe how their product is made, and he goes, "We have a lot of people selling the same thing, but you guys are toasted," and that becomes their advertising campaign.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what led you guys to talk about peptides and ocular headache.
Crazy tangents.
Yeah, but it was all about like Brian. You know, Brian asked about like the intersection of technology and marketing, and
Let me
like,
reframe it for Brandon
yeah,
because I only have a couple more minutes, but I want to hear his take on this, even though I've probably heard it a zillion times before. So Brandon, like as the marketing tech stack gets automated away and tech eats up more and more of it, and Elliot's creating this platform that's just like eating up as much of it as possible, the margin on a company, which is that like you can like upcharge something above cost of goods for whatever reason, for like your brand or for, you know, any made up reason. That made up reason is like essentially like taste. And so because marketers right now are so anti-AI because they feel like maybe I'm like just like putting my own feelings on this, but like because tech is taking up so much of marketing's shit, that marketing feels like, okay, I need to keep this last sliver of taste for myself, and therefore like anything that AI does is like untasteful, and I need to like create something new to create value, to create margin, to create brand that differentiates away from like all this stuff that is AI generated. So it's like proof of work on the blockchain or like some sort of thing that's like can't be faked. But like where do you net out on this, and like in terms of like where it's going? Is it an event horizon that never gets here, and there's always some sliver of like humanity and taste, or does like taste go to zero?
I mean, I don't really know, and I see all these arguments out there. I feel like I don't know. You've already seen a lot of different marketing people talk about how it's the end of brand. Like if you're Poppy and you can compete with, or Olipop, and you can now compete with, Coca-Cola and their, brand marketing budget, it's already at the point where product supersedes brand. And I think the whole taste argument, maybe that holds water for some time. I mean, presumably the models can be trained on, coming out with taste as fast as the taste is being set by creators. I think probably where it goes with advertising, it is like a creator type of economy where, you are able to show that you're not an AI, and it's clear when you come out with content that you're not an AI avatar. And that's probably the main thing that supersedes your ability to make like a cool, tasteful brand, is that it's real work was put into it by a human being. And there's like that parasocial relationship that people can have through consuming your content. And I feel like that's probably where things net out, is like, hey, it's super low, it's lo-fi, or at least I can tell that it's made by a human, and it's not necessarily about, visuals and messaging as much as it is about a human being who's validating the product. And I think that's probably where we're headed in terms of having an edge. I just like, it's so easy now for people to come out with cool visuals and great renderings and all of that kind of stuff, and now it's viewed as cheap by people on the other side of the screen. And so I think the only thing that's left is, okay, is Brian cool, or do I think that Brian has good taste, or a good eye for product, or does he kind of seem like me? And so, by way of him seeming like me, can I assume that what he's talking about that he likes should also be something that I incorporate into my life? I see that being more, and I think like that's not an original thought. Seems like everybody else is saying that. You talk about that a lot too. That distribution is the new moat, when everybody can just make high quality, product. I don't know that I believe that like cool large language models are never going to have taste. Like clearly they can just mimic and come out with whatever's the newest trend. And I think there'll probably always be like a bit of a race to, counterbalance what the models are able to do quickly. And it's probably going to come in the form of, hey, cool, like there's just a label now that shows that whoever's making this content is truly a human being. And that's probably where it'll stop. I don't know, maybe at some point, like the newest generation of kids who've grown up with AI and avatars and animated characters and stuff, they won't really need to have the knowledge that the person on the other side of the screen is real, or that this was made by a human, and they won't view it as cheap. But I think at least for now, this generation of consumers, millennials and Gen Z and, Gen X and boomers, I think that they need to know that it's made by a human being. And so anyways, maybe that went off on a tangent and didn't directly answer your question, but
Well, that was a good point about next generation of people, AI native kids. Like, it doesn't matter. They're never going to have any social interactions anyway. They're just going to live in a pod, and then like.
I really know that. You know, like a lot of parents that I know, they're not allowing their kids to use tech. Like maybe the Gen Z kids that are coming out now from college or not going to college, where they kind of, their parents got lost in the tech sauce and allowed them too much, you know, learning from screens. Now a lot of parents that I know are, even though like you can learn from screens, I think parents are becoming aware that, hey, you know, like learning by hand and learning the boring way creates, you know, stronger learning in general. So I don't know, maybe there's like a reverse of field for these kids. It's hard to say.
Mm-hmm.
Word. Maybe that's a good place to end it. I gotta hop off, but thanks for joining, guys.
Cool. Brandon, great to meet you. Definitely sign up for Hyper. We'll add some free credits to your account. Let me know if you want to see anything special.
Yeah, I'm gonna check it out after this. Hyper, I see it in your whatever.
Yeah, hyperfx.ai.
Cool. Are you gonna put this on your channel, Brian, or where's it gonna end up?
We're live on X and YouTube right now. I'm gonna clip it right after this, and then clips will go in the same place. It's gonna be everywhere, dude. it's everywhere.
Yeah, you gotta set. We need a. Yeah, we'll continue to refine. We need some nice borders around the screen. Got to figure that part out.
I gotta up my recharge or my restream.
Oh yeah, facts.
Program. Yeah.
Dude, why don't you just vibe code?
Yeah,
just
like,
make it on Hyper.
What a loser paying for his fucking SaaS.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, like that is the. Yeah. All right, cool, guys.
Peace out. See you guys.
Thanks, Charlie.
See ya.